Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
A gay couple in Bermuda win the right to marry. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, May 5 from the CMC News Center in Bridgetown. I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Two men have won a legal challenge against the Registrar General's decision to reject their application to marry in Bermuda. Winston Godwin and his Canadian fiancé, Greg DeRock, all took the case to the Supreme Court, arguing that the Human Rights Act took primacy in Bermuda and protected their right to marry. On Friday morning, Justice Charles Etta Simmons delivered her ruling saying that the men were discriminated against on the basis of their sexual orientation when the registrar refused to process their notice of intended marriage. The judge also ruled that the applicants are entitled to an order of mandamus compelling the registrar to act in accordance with the requirements of the Marriage Act and a declaration that same-sex couples are entitled to be married under the Marriage Act. Speaking to the media after the court ruling, Godwin said it was a step in the right direction and a great day for Bermuda and the LGBT community.
I think the courts got it right. I cannot thank everyone enough for their support. It's a great day for Bermuda. It's a great day for the LGBT community of Bermuda. It's a great day for people. We still have a long way to go. While it was in our favor, there is still lots to be done. But I cannot thank everyone again for their support. I'm overwhelmed with emotions right now. I wish my partner was here to enjoy this moment with me. Unfortunately, he's in Canada at the moment, but undoubtedly he will be here soon to help celebrate in this.
Meantime, attorney Rod Artride Sterling, who acted for the Human Rights Commission in the case, said it was a shame the legislature did not act in the matter to put the issue beyond doubt, and that the Attorney General's office fought the case the way it did. He said Bermuda owes a huge debt of gratitude to the gay couple. During the case, which was heard over 3 days in January and February, Godwin and Mr. DeRock, represented by lawyer Mark Pettingill, sought an order from the Supreme Court to compel the registrar to post their marriage bans in accordance with the Marriage Act. They also wanted a declaration that same-sex couples are entitled to be married under the law. But the government's lawyer, Deputy Solicitor General Shakira Del Francois, told the court that the Registrar General could not post marriage bans for gay couples because such unions are null and void under Bermuda's existing laws. She said that under Section 33 of the Marriage Act 1944, it was an offense for the registrar to authorize a marriage knowing it was void. Despite calls for the Bahamas Parliamentary Commissioner Sherlyn Hall to be fired following the chaos at the advanced poll on Wednesday, he insists he's not the one at fault. He says he has been blamed for many of the shortfalls within the Parliament Registration Department. Thursday was the last day of Hall's 3-year contract on the job. And in this report from Janae Noel Ferguson of ZNS Network News, he seeks to set the record straight about the late opening of the polls and the confusion on advanced polling day which came a week before the May 10 general elections.
On Wednesday, thousands flocked to the Kendall Isaacs Gym to participate in the advance poll. Although the National Stadium was also expected to be used, that did not happen. Now, Hall claimed that the returning officer, Permanent Secretary Carl Smith, would have made the decision to eliminate the use of the stadium, which compounded the issues on Wednesday.
I asked Mr. Smith to supervise. He's a returning officer in the elections, and I selected him as the supervisor, as a senior returning officer, to coordinate activities at the gym. A week or two before, we published in the newspaper that the advance poll will be held at two locations, the gym and the National Stadium. Somehow along the way, he could speak to that. The decision was made just to use the gym.
Now, ZNS News reached out to Smith, who was not available up until press time. The polls also opened almost 90 minutes late on Wednesday. Hall said he did not have control over that, as the ballots left the registration department 20 minutes before the polls were scheduled to open, which he believes would have been enough time to begin the process at 8. He was asked why voting did not take place across the country in the advance poll, as opposed to only in Grand Bahama and New Providence.
That was a administrative decision made by myself in particular, after taking advice from my...
Hall responded to critics, including former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Hubert Ingram, who said that he was not suited or experienced for the parliamentary commissioner post.
To some people, I'm competent in one area, and other areas I'm not competent. I think I've been in the public service almost 50 years, and most of the persons in authority have benefited from my contributions. For someone to say I'm incompetent, that's the opinion. But I'm an Oxford graduate, not blowing my own horn. I've been in some of the best universities in the world. I'm not incompetent.
The Jamaica government is threatening to name and shame parliamentarians and other public representatives who owe taxes. Local government minister Desmond McKenzie issued the warning during a property tax awareness and education tour in St. Elizabeth, the parish with the highest levels of non-compliance. Now, here's TVJ's Herman Green with that story.
As part of the awareness drive, which will be done across the island, Desmond McKenzie says he was given a list of delinquent property owners.
There are a number of councillors, number of MPs, number of former mayors who are in debt to the country with property taxes. I'll be writing to all the mayors of the municipalities, and I'm going to be sending the mayors the list, and we are going to make all the efforts first to ensure that we get in contact with these persons to ask them.
And if that approach doesn't work,
if they fail to do it, then the country will know who are those persons who are owing property taxes to the government.
he listed St. Elizabeth, Trelawney and Manchester as priority parishes as they have the greatest number of delinquent property owners. But that's not the only reason for starting the tour there. He says St. Elizabeth needs the money to address challenges such as an all-too-frequent drought.
Meantime, the parliamentary opposition has expressed reservations about the naming and shaming. Spokesman on local government, Noel Ascott, believes that the closed-door negotiations would be the best option to get individuals to clear their tax arrears. The Trinidad and Tobago government is examining the legal implications of imposing property tax on squatters. When the tax takes effect, squatters could be paying an average of $20 TT a month. That's according to Finance Minister Colum Imbert, based on his assessment of one squatter's home.
I looked at a typical squatter dwelling in my own constituency, and I did a calculation in my head, and I've come up with $20 a month. $20, 20. So why on earth is the opposition going out there and frightening squatters about this tax? You're talking about a tax that if it is ever applied, because you have to deal with the ownership first.
He said the Prime Minister said it is an interesting question that must be answered.
Property owned by the state is exempt from the tax. So these people are on a piece of land which, if they are not the owner of it, it is exempt from tax. The question is, who is the owner of that parcel of land.
The Attorney General said that the issue is complicated as it involves certificates of comfort given to those who have squatted on state land for more than 15 years, as they can eventually move on to get leases for the land they live on.
The advice rendered so far is that they will be entitled to pay taxes, because you can't claim that you're the owner, be recognized by the state that you have an entitlement that way, and then not pay your taxes as a landowner or property owner.
He said the government now has on the Parliament's agenda 4 pieces of law for the compulsory registration of all lands in Trinidad and Tobago through an IDB-funded program to commence in Tobago. Minister Imbert repeated the government's claim that the opposition was misrepresenting what the property tax payments would be. He said, however, the government has no control over the private arrangement between property owners who are landlords and their tenants.
That report from Joel Brown of TV6 News. Staying in the Twin Island Republic, Cabinet wants to review the deal in which the Telecommunication Services of Trinidad and Tobago, TSTT, which is 51% owned by the state, is acquiring competitor Massey Communications for $250 million. This after Chairman of TSTT, Emil Elias, told Parliament's Public Accounts Enterprises Committee on Wednesday that he did not have the information, he did not have to inform Cabinet of the company's decision.
I looked at a typical squatter dwelling in my own constituency, and I did a calculation in my head, and I've come up with $20.
All right, still to come in Caribbean Newsline, underwater volcano Kikemjeni quiet now after several eruptions. We'll be right back after this break.
Ready. It's another episode. When we out on the road, this is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road. Drink, drink, drink. King Baba and Nikita. Hey, hey, hey. Every fact that I go, you keep on calling me wrong name. But that's okay, cause that's my babe. I don't understand how wearing a name tag on me. You know what to say, you still calling me wrong name. Don't get vexed with me. Don't say that.
Follow your heart to the 21st edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from the 22nd to the 24th of June, featuring Shabba Ranks, Ultimate Rejects, The Boozman, Mobado, Jack Pure, DJ Private Riot, and back together again, Square One. Also performing Third Word, Voice, King Mighty Chalk Dust, Credence Clearwater Revisited, Ed Robinson, Ricardo Drew, Tedison John, Felicia Ross, Brianna D, Lyrical, and Goo Goo Dolls. For more information, log on to www.stkitsmusicfestival.net.
All is now reported to be calm at the region's only underwater volcano, Kikemjeni, following earthquakes that began last weekend. Grenada's National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, says there have been no earthquakes associated with the volcano between Tuesday morning and Friday morning, and it declared that this episode appears to be over. But it noted that because the pattern of behavior at the Kikemjeni has been changing, another episode of activity in the short term should not be ruled out. And as a precautionary measure, NADMA maintains that the alert level at yellow, which means vessels should observe a 1.5 kilometer or 0.93 mile exclusion zone. But the marine community is advised to continue observing the secondary exclusion zone of 5 kilometers or 3.1 miles. Now, Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown says the newly launched Democratic National Alliance is no threat to his ruling Antigua Labour Party. The DNA was launched last month by Joan Messiah, who was expelled from the main opposition United Progressive Party led by Harold Lovell. Messiah had been at loggerheads with the party leadership for some time now, prior to her expulsion. Prime Minister Brown, in a recent interview with ABS television, said the formation of the new party is not a threat to him, but an indictment on Lovell and his ability to lead. But he said the DNA could become a force to reckon with.
And it's very probable that they could displace the UPP as the opposition party. In fact, I think it's an indictment on Harold's leadership, that he's been unable to keep his party together, and that members of his party have now created a third party that could be even more viable than the UPP. So fundamentally, DNA is not a problem for the Labour Party. It's really a problem for the UPP, and it's a reflection of the lack of leadership of Harold Lovell. It shows very clearly that Harold is not ready for prime time.
Over to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where the lead counsel for the main opposition New Democratic Party challenging the 2015 election results says the government's motion to have the petitions thrown out is standing on wobbly legs. Queen's Counsel Stanley John concluded his arguments before High Court Judge Esco Henry on Friday in the case in which the NDP is seeking to have the court overturn the election results in two constituencies. John suggested to reporters that senior counsel Anthony Astafan, who is leading the team of lawyers representing the ruling United Labour Party, was taking from the Representation of the People's Act and the election petitions rules the elements that he thinks supports his case. But he says that in doing so, Astafan was undermining the premise of his motion. The respondents are arguing that there is no valid recognizance and therefore the petitions are invalid. They have hinged their motion on an argument that the petitioners, rather than the sureties, have signed the recognizances.
So I took the court through the elements and the provisions of the Act that ordain how the recognizance should be. And there is nothing in it, in the Act, to conform with some of the things that they're saying should be inside the Act. So the two pillars of their case, the Act must be strictly interpreted and the form must be strictly followed. A little bit wobbly now, but no doubt they will straighten it up by the time they come back next time and restore the soundness of their challenge.
Russia's state-owned oil company Rosneft has signed an agreement with Cuba's state-run Cuba Metals to supply 250,000 tons of olive and diesel fuel. The agreement means that for the first time this century, Russia will be supplying the Spanish-speaking Caribbean island with large quantities of oil as supplies for Venezuela have dwindled. A Russian tanker with 249,000 barrels of refined products is due to arrive in Havana on May 10. In recent years, Cuba has relied on cash-strapped Venezuela for about 70% of its fuel needs, but Venezuela's subsidized shipments have fallen as much as 40% since 2014. And ahead in Newsline Sports, Shannon Gabriel says it was a team effort that secured the West Indies win over Pakistan in the second test. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Ready.
It's another episode when we out on the road. This is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road.
Drink, drink, drink. King Baba and Nikita. Every fat dollar boy keep on calling me.
to the 21st edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from the 22nd to the 24th of June, featuring Shabaranks, Ultimate Rejects, The Boozman, Mobado, Jack Pure, DJ Private Riot, and back together again, Square One. Also performing Third World, Voice, King Mighty Chalk Dust, Credence Clearwater Revisited, Ed Robinson, Ricardo Drew, Teddyson John, Felicia Ross, Brianna D, Lyrical, and Goo Goo Dolls. For more information, log on to www.stkitsmusicfestival.net.
West Indies speedster Shannon Gabriel isn't taking all the credit for his side's colossal victory in the second test against Pakistan on Thursday. The Windies blew away the Pakistanis by 106 runs, surprisingly under poor pitch conditions. Now, Gabriel turned in a man-of-the-match effort with 5 for 11 from 11 overs to claim his second 5-wicket haul in tests and end with match figures of 9 for 92. The Trinidadian praised his colleagues for a job well done.
I think it was a good team effort. The way Ruston played in the first innings, the way the bowlers bowled, Bishu picking up some key wickets in the first innings, Azari, the rest of bowlers. Second innings, Shea put up his hand and bat, although he was struggling. But we always know, as a team, once we get a good lead on a fifth-day pitch, things would happen for us.
And Gabriel also expressed his gratitude to his former and current bowling coaches.
Coming through from under 19, I've been working with Kelvin, so I must give thanks to him, thanks to the Father, Almighty Father, thanks to Ronald Rogers, and thanks to Roddy Eswick for their advice and for their help for getting me here. And hope we can continue to work together as one and move forward.
Roston Chase's second test century has catapulted him into the top 50 in the latest ICC test batting rankings, while his teammate and fellow Barbadian Shea Hope has moved to the brink of cracking the top 100 for the first time. The 25-year-old Chase has jumped 21 places to a career best 49th, while Hope, 23, has moved up 19 spots to 101st. Now, this comes after both produced excellent performances to help West Indies crush Pakistan by 106 runs on the final day of the second test at Kensington Oval. Now, Chase carved out 131 in the first innings as West Indies made 312, while Hope hit a career best 90 to see the Caribbean to 268 all out in their second innings. Now, for Hope, the innings was his maiden test half-century in his 9th match, breaking a run of low scores in his career. Now, there was also success for man-of-the-match fast bowler Shannon Gabriel and captain Jason Holder, who made healthy strides in the bowlers' rankings. Gabriel, who was brilliant in the second innings with a spell of 5 for 11 to end with a 9-wicket haul, has entered the top 20 for the first time after jumping 14 places to 19th. And Seamer Holder, who took 3 wickets in each innings, has moved up 12 spots to 40th after also making progress in the rankings following the opening test at Sabina Park 2 weeks ago. Staying with cricket, scheduling challenges have been cited as the reason for Indian batting legend Sachin Tendulkar missing the opening of the long-awaited Brian Lara Cricket Academy in South Trinidad. Tendulkar was expected to lead a celebrity team in a match against Lara to mark the opening. But when news broke that a pavilion was earmarked to bear Tendulkar's name, there was heavy criticism from many local cricket enthusiasts, including the TNT Cricket Board president. Sports Minister Darrell Smith weighed in on this issue in the C Sport report from Dian Batiste.
Minister of Sport Darrell Smith has confirmed that legendary cricketer Sachin Tendulkar will not be present for the official opening of the Brian Lara Cricket Academy on May 13th. Minister Smith said despite the best efforts by all involved, it just is not possible for the Indian cricketer to be here due to scheduling conflicts.
The last regime lasted there for 5 years. It was 95% completed. They went out to 70. And that 5 years, millions of dollars in equipment was stolen. The Lara wanted to take his name off of the facility, and we were able to persuade him to ensure that he's part of the process moving forward.
Minister Smith says the academy, which has been 13 years in the making, is the first project he was mandated by cabinet to deliver on.
Sachin has been the person that he has said has told him throughout his career to be the best that he can be. And by people with Sachin, they are the two top cricketers for many years and going head to head and targeting each other to see who could outdo each other. And he was very proud of that relationship that they had.
The academy is the brainchild of its namesake Brian Lara, who along with then Prime Minister Patrick Manning dreamed of a school where young cricketers could be trained. Minister Smith says Sachin Tendulkar's proposed involvement in the academy was meant to pay homage to his involvement in Brian Lara's success as a cricketer.
Right, so the scheduling was very, very tight. If we didn't get him out in this month of May, it would have been later on in the year later. We couldn't wait for that.
Responding to rumors that a stand at the academy will be named by Sachin Tendulkar, the minister said no final decision has been made.
Yeah, that was just a discussion in a room. That wasn't supposed to happen anything. That was a discussion that Mr. Lara and us were having, the team, because they know that's going to be part of it, and nothing has etched in stone.
Minister Smith said citizens should not lose focus on the main issue, which according to him is the opening of the academy where young people could be trained. The minister further stated that all final plans for the May 13th opening of the academy will be revealed on Thursday.
Switching sports now, double sprint Olympic sprint queen Elaine Thompson was in ripping form on Friday as she comfortably won the 200-meter sprint at the Doha Diamond League. The Jamaican ran a season's best 22.19 seconds, beating her Dutch rival Daphne Schippers, who finished in 22.45 seconds. Now, Jamaica's Simone Facey also ran a season's best as she came in fourth in a flat 23 seconds, while Veronica Campbell-Brown finished in fifth spot in a time of 23.09 seconds.
Thompson gets a very good start, but so does Skippers. And then outside, Talou, who always gets out very, very quickly indeed, is already up in Desiree Henry. And Skippers has taken some ground out of Elaine Thompson, and inside her, Veronica Campbell-Brown running a good bend. But here comes Thompson, the Olympic champion. Skippers trying to hang on to her down the home straight, but she's continuing to move away. Talou getting into the battle of the third, but it's going to be Elaine Thompson who wins it. Daphne Skippers in second, 22.19.
And in the men's 100-meter, Jamaica Safa Powell finished second as South African Akini Simbine clocked 9.99 seconds to win the event. That's the sport. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Make your special event in Barbados a memorable one. Let Pangrove Elegant Events transform the concept of your dreams into a magical reality. We provide everything you need for your event, from the understated to the stately. Our team can reimagine your indoor or outdoor space or explore the scenic, lush gardenscape of our event venue at Sugarland Gardens. Celebrate life's milestones with Pangrove Elegant Events and Sugarland Gardens and experience the elegant side of Barbados.
It's not about exercising. It's having the strength to do what you're passionate about. It's not about the road traveled. It's about the one to be traveled. An important thing in life is finding the perfect balance between body and soul. With a bottle of Ensure, you get the proteins, calcium, and 26 vitamins and minerals your body needs to live the best moments of your life with strength and energy. Your life, your health, your Ensure.
Again, the major developments of this day. A gay couple in Bermuda wins the right to marry. And in sports, Chanel Gabriel isn't taking all the credit for the Windies' win over Pakistan in the second test. He says it was a team effort. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again on Monday, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.